Assalamu alaikum. This is Brother Eugene for ER News. With us today, we have a well-known journalist who interviewed many actors like the cast of the Black Panther movies, several musicians, and he's also the author of the book, Black American History, From Plantation to Rap Culture. Please receive our dear brother, Pascal ARCHIMEDE. Did I pronounce it right?
Assalamu alaikum, brother Ulrich. Good afternoon. How are you doing, my brother?
Thank you. Welcome, dear brother. On behalf of our European Regional Minister Abdul Hakim Mohammed and the European region of the Nation of Islam, we would like to welcome you to ER News. Thank you for being with us, as it is a great honor having you with us, and it's definitely a great honor to be featured in the Final Call newspaper. And I know your book has been featured in the Final Call newspaper in 2019. Could you tell us something about your book and about yourself, sir?
Yes, indeed. So actually, as you were mentioning it, I'm an interviewer. So I was lucky, as you said, to interview, the cast of the Black Panther movie. I was also lucky, to interview Brother Nuri Mohammed from the Nation of Islam. And I'm also an author. So as you said it, I'm the author of a book entitled Black American History from Plantations to Rap Culture.
Yes, sir.
This book tells the history of Black people on American soil through the different types of music that they created. So starting with work songs on plantations and going all the way through to rap music. So of course, going through jazz, blues, and many other types of music that our brothers and sisters and ancestors created.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
A report was published by Philippe Vital under the auspices of the Ministry of des Outre-mer. Don't know if I pronounce it right. Looking at the French history and the treatment of young children who were sent from Reunion to mainland France between 1963 and 1982, and they decided to sue the French state. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, of course. But you know what, Brother Ulrich, before even talking about what happened to the Reunion Island, I can settle the historical set, because what happened is that the post-Second World War period was a turbulent time for France's former colonies. And coupled with a rising birth rate and employment rates were increasing, leaving more and more young people out of work. As unemployment was rising, so did people's disappointment with the political system. So Guadeloupe, Martinique, La Réunion Island, and French Guyana had been converted from French colonies to overseas department by a law passed in 1946. This law meant that people from those 4 locations were French citizens and so had equal rights as those living in mainland France. However, many saw little difference in this change of status. There was a growing threat of rebellion from within these regions, and the French government feared that the overseas department would demand complete independence from France, just as it was happening in the French-speaking African colonies or in the English-speaking Caribbean islands. So mainland France, meanwhile, was in the midst of an economic boom that later came to be known as the 30 Glorious Years, and in desperate need of a stable workforce. In response to this situation, in April 1963, the Prime Minister of France called Michel Debré, at this time, he created a state agency called the BUMIDOM. The BUMIDOM is the equivalent of the Windrush. Yes, the program encouraged young men and women from Guadeloupe, Martinique, and La Réunion Island to come to France to find work. And for just under 20 years, more than 160,000 workers migrated to mainland France. And so, of course, we all know that, you know this expression, Brother Ulrich, that says that nature abhors a vacuum. So as those former colonies were being drained of their youthful force, positions were offered to white French people, to whom, prosperity in those colonies was promised.
Yes, sir.
And so at the same time, Brother Ulrich, regardless of the level of education of the migrants from the former colonies, they were hired to subordinate tasks. And the reception conditions of our brothers and sisters were far from being those that were promised to them upon their departure. Each one of them had to undergo a physical examination and personality test to check that they would easily integrate into French life. And even though legally French citizens, they were not treated as such because they were not white. So they were questioned about their French language skills, their family background, and their previous employment. And they were then given a one ticket paid by the French state. So while for some, the BUMIDOM was an opportunity for social promotion and economic independence, others experienced this migration as a deportation, a journey without return. And I'm getting back to the what happened to the Reunion Island, and to answer your question.
Yes, sir. Please do. Yes, sir.
The most extreme case of deportation happened in La Réunion Island with the children of the Creuse region. The Creuse is a region in France, because between 1962 and 1984, more than 2,000 children, most of them were orphans, but not all of them, were forcibly removed from their homes and taken to mainland France to repopulate the declining rural areas. So the region of La Creuse received the majority of the children because each year about 3,000 young people headed toward large cities to find work, and its population was aging. And so the tragedy of the Creuse children, who were frequently ill-treated and subjected to abuse and violence, was largely unreported until the early 2000s, when some of them sued the French states. They asked for financial compensation and an acknowledgement from the French government of the trauma that they faced. And of course, the BUMIDOM has been named by some people the French Windrush.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Clear, clear. Thank you, sir. So our regional minister has been speaking on the Windrush scheme and how we could get compensation. So my question is there a way that we can get the French government or the French people, the French diaspora, to get some compensation for what they have faced during those years?
So I wish they could. I mean, of course, for the Reunion Island, I need to follow the case, but I think that some of them got compensation. But I think that for our brothers and sisters and from Guadeloupe, Martinique, I'm not sure that they could get compensation. Why? It's because even if in a way they got forced to get there, they made them believe that that was their choice. You get me? So when you decide and when you sign papers to go to France and the ticket paid, your single ticket being paid by the French state, in a way, it's a way for the government to protect themselves. So if you come to them, they would be like, yeah, but you asked for it. We paid you the ticket.
Yes.
You got me?
Yes, sir. That's how I put them in the trap. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understood.
So I think that is a subtle way not to be sued in a few years later. You see what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you for that. So is there anything else you want to add to the BUMIDOM or the French experience, the similarities? You go ahead. It's your time, sir.
I mean, of course, you know, this story of the BUMIDOM reminds me, you know, of slavery, of what happened, you know. And but I think that this one was, I think the conditions are not really the same.
Yes, sir.
But it's the same strategy, and it's a little bit more subtle. You see what I mean? So that's the reason why, you know, I'm promoting history. I'm promoting consciousness, because when you know your history, there's no way they can trick you a second time. They will try, but if you know, if you're conscious of if you're aware of your story, of your history, where you're from, they can't trick you.
Yes, sir, that's true. Know yourself. The teaching tells us to know ourselves. Yes, sir. Exactly. So, yes, sir. So, could you tell us about where we can find your book and what we can expect from you in the future, sir?
So yeah, of course. So I mean, so the book was published in French and in English. So the book is of course available on platforms like Amazon and stuff like this. It's in a few bookshops in Paris, and I even saw that it was in some countries in Europe, like Switzerland and stuff like this. But you can definitely find it online. And right now, I keep, interviewing brothers and sisters because, I'm working with a media called NOFI. NOFI is the contraction of Noir et Fier, which means black and proud. And what we're doing is that we're promoting black excellence.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I'm doing, with the interviews. I'm interviewing different brothers and sisters from different fields. So they can be artists like, singers, actors. They can be entrepreneurs.
Yes,
The
sir.
idea itself is really to promote black excellence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful, beautiful. So can I thank you for this interview, and I hope we can have you back again another time. On behalf of the region, on behalf of Student Minister Abdul Hakim, we'd like to thank you and greet you in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum, dear brother. Thank you. May peace be unto you.
Thanks a lot, Brother Ulrich, for having me today. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Take
sir.
care.
You're welcome. Yes. So here you have it, family. The moment we see that all in the diaspora face similar experiences. Thank you for watching. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be unto you.